Hello friends, I'm FIDE instructor Atul Dahale and welcome to my YouTube channel. The FIDE World Cup has just begun guys yesterday, that is on the 12th of July 2021, and the tournament is being held in Sochi. That is a place in Russia which is surrounded by mountains and river is there. A completely blissful situation is there as per the photographs and everything posted by the players. I can assure you that players are having great time there. One more thing I would like to tell you that the first day for our Indians was really awesome because everybody played great chess. Nihal Sarin won, Pragnananda won, Adiban won, then P. Indian also won his game, Arvind Chidambaram won his game, only Gukesh drew his game. And in girls section, Padmini Raut won her game, then Vaishali also won her game. And one more good news is there for Indians that Bhakti Kulkarni has advanced to the second round because unfortunately her opponent was not able to be there present for the game because she got COVID. So that is unfortunate for her, but okay, for Indians, Bhakti Kulkarni just advanced to the second round. So guys, in this video we will be looking at two of the games from our youngsters, that is Pragnananda and Nihal Sarin. So before we go further, I would like to request you that don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel because I will be making more and more videos related to the World Cup. So stay tuned with me. We will be having the live stream every single day guys, so just be there, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you will get all the notifications. So let's start with the game. The first game which we are going to see is played between Barsamina Paulo and Pragnananda. In this game, Pragnananda was black, so we were going to see the game from black side. Pragnananda's opponent Paulo started with e4. He played c5 and then knight f3. e6 was played, and now he plays g3. Well, this is a little bit offbeat situation. I'll say means the opening. Here he goes for knight c6, bishop to g2, and then knight f6. Well, we should not be afraid of the moves like e5 because we have 2-3 options. Knight d5 is there, knight g4 is there, putting some pressure on the e5 pawn. And if sometime like queen e2 is there, we can increase more pressure with queen c7, and to defend the pawn on d4 e5 will be a little bit difficult. Okay, so usually e5 is not played. A white player played queen to e2, which is a good idea, and now e5 is going to play. Well, here Pragnananda says like, okay, I will just stop this idea, and he plays e5. Then castling was done, and now bishop e7. Now he plays c3. Obviously he is just stopping knight to d4. This is the move which is stopping. Now castles, both the sides have castled in this position. Now Paulo plays knight a3 with the idea of maybe knight to c2 or knight c4, and followed by at some point d4 might be played. So here Pragnananda like prepares for everything. He plays a very calm move, rook e8, because now bishop f8 can be played at any point, putting some pressure over there on this file if the file gets opened up. Here opponent did not go for d4. He played d3, then d6, opening up this bishop. Okay, now knight goes to c4 square, and now what to do? Well, here Pragnananda played h6 move. Why is he playing this move? Because he wants to stop all the businesses like this g5. And one more thing is there, that at some point maybe knight h7 can be played. And another thing is that whenever he is going to play bishop to e6, knight g5 should not come, so that this bishop will not be attacked. Okay, fair enough. I think like he played h3. Now bishop arrives on e6 square, king h2. Okay, no problem. Bishop f8, as we already talked about this thing, bishop f8 was played. Now he plays bishop to d2, and now g6. Well, this bishop was not doing that great job on this side of the board, so he is preparing for him to come on this diagonal. Okay, now a4, bishop g7. As per the plan, bishop goes to that square, and now b4. Well, white is playing on the queen side in this position, and what to do? Well, Pragnananda says like, I can just get rid of the b4 pawn, c into b4 and c into b4. By playing like this, the thing is that the c3 pawn is gone from the board, and now the d4 square is under our control. So he says like, okay, now it's time to break into the center because this rook is there which is sitting in front of the queen, so it's right time to break the center. So he plays d5. Now if we capture here, then obviously knight into d5 is there, or bishop into d5 followed by e4 can come at any point. One more thing is that the d3 pawn will be a permanent weakness in this situation. I think that black will definitely have good chances, because whenever the e4 also comes, this bishop's diagonal gets opened up and black should be good in this position. So he plays knight a5. he is not going for those things, he goes for the action. But playing knight a5 is also not that good, because after knight into a5, b into a5, the a file pawns are not good, I think so. Now he attacks the a pawn with bishop to d7. He plays bishop c3, and now queen c7 attacking the bishop on c3. Rook f7, okay, he's supporting, but now bishop c6. Very simple play by Praggnanandhaa here. He's not worried about anything on this side, because these two pawns are already weak. He just needs to do something on this side of the board. This is called as the principle of two weaknesses, guys. Okay, knight d2, and now he plays a6, stopping all the businesses on the queen side. Now he plays queen d1, and now rook a d8. Slowly and gradually Praggnanandhaa has brought all the pieces into the game. Now knight, bishop, queen, as well as the rooks are also playing in the game. So he is kind of well prepared for anything which is going to happen in future. So queen b3 was played his opponent, and now he plays h5. Well, he is trying to do something on the king side now. Okay, so bishop b4, no issues. Queen d7, he is still attacking here, and he is putting some pressure on the king side. Okay, rook a2, opponent tries to cover up everything over here. Now bishop h6. This bishop was not doing that great job, so he puts it on the good diagonal. So this is what we need to try to do in the game. Like whenever our piece is not doing that great job, you should try to put it on a better diagonal. Okay, so now rook e1, the knight should be unpinned, so he plays rook to e1. Now h4. Well, why this move is being played? Because if you play g4, then bishop will always get this f4 square for himself, and then maybe you can play knight to h7 followed by knight g5, then f5 will play. So black will be having great attacking possibilities on the dark square. The dominance will be there. So he plays here not that thing, but he plays e into d5. Bishop captures on d5. Now bishop captures d5, and now he goes for the exchanges, because as I said earlier, the pawn on d3 square will be weak if this pawn captures the d5 pawn. If you remember a little bit earlier, I talked about this thing. Now he plays knight into d5. Now the pawn structure is really good for black. You can see these two pawns are weak. This pawn is also weak, and there will be some problem related to this pawns on the king side. So if you think about the pawn structure, then I will say that black is already having great one. Okay, so rook b1 supporting the bishop on b4. Now he plays h into g3, f into g3. Now he captures knight into b4, rook into b4, and finally the pawn on d3 falls. While, well, the pawn has the like captured, and now the knight on d2 is also being attacked. This bishop is also attacking, and you can see that this pawn is a clear passed pawn, and Praggnanandhaa did not make any mistakes. He just won the game with clean play. Knight e4 was played, and then he plays rook e7, not allowing to capture on b7. Okay, knight c5. Okay, this pawn is being captured, but no issues. Like he plays knight to d5, rook to d5, rook into b7, rook into b7, knight into b7. By giving up the pawn on b7, he has got something big. He has got clear passed pawn, which was already there, and the knight really cannot come in the game, because you can see these two squares are already blocked. This square is also blocked, and this square was blocked by his own pawn. So the knight on b7 is looking like a stupid knight. Okay, now he plays bishop e3, just controlling everything in this position. Rook e2, and he plays bishop a7. Well, the knight is further restricted in this position. Rook to c2, and now it's time to push the pawn. So he plays pawn to e4, king g2. No problem, just attack the knight. Knight needs to go somewhere. Okay, first he gives the check. Okay, king h7, and now knight to d8. Well, knight c5 can be played in this position, but as you can see, if he plays the knight there, then our rook will go to d2 square, and followed by the pawn push is going to happen. Even if king f1 is played, we can still push the pawn, or we can do one more thing, that is rook to c2. By playing rook c2, the knight will not be able to go anywhere, because the knight is pinned, the rook on c8 is hanging, and black will definitely win the piece. Okay, so knight c5 is not a good idea. Knight d8 was played, and now he plays king g7, supporting the pawn on f7. He plays knight c6, and now rook d2 check, king f1, and now bishop to f2. Well, because the bishop on a7 was being attacked, now the pawn on g3 is being attacked. Even if you push the pawn, the thing is that he wants to play e3 followed by bishop to g3, and then e2 check, and e1 the pawn will be queening. So opponent tries to restrict that thing. He plays rook to e8, but okay, now the pawn is being attacked, so he plays f5 supporting the pawn. G4 is played, bishop to g3, and now g5 is played. Now what to do? Well, we need to push our pawns, because Karpov, a great legend, used to say this thing, that if you have a pawn, a passed pawn, then you need to push it. Okay, so he plays f4. rook into e4 is played, but now f3 comes. Now there are several threats of in this position. Rook d1 checkmate is there. Maybe he can come from this side also. His opponent tried to defend it here, but okay, rook to the right, rook to the left method has been employed here. He plays rook h2. Now the idea is to just play rook h1 and check and mate. Even if king g1 is played, we can give the check to f2, king f2 check, then king comes here, and now we can just queen the pawn, and the game should be over very soon. So his opponent resigned after rook h2. A very great game by Pragnananda, I will say, and I hope that you enjoyed this game played by our little master Pragnananda. And well, the second game which I would like to show you is by our another youngster, Nihal Sarin. Nihal Sarin is in great form, guys, because recently he has won 2 tournaments in Serbia, and he continues his form in this tournament also. In the first game, he met Arthur from Uganda, and he was black in this game. The game's opening was French defense. Well, in the initial phase, maybe Nihal Sarin was a little bit light or something like that, and he ended up in a little bit difficult situation, but then he defended very well, and then the maneuvering started, and then he won in the end quite smoothly, I'll say. Means one sudden tactic came, and then the game was just getting over. So without further delay, let's get started. I'll be going through the initial moves a little bit more quickly, guys. So the game started with e4. Okay, his opponent started with this, then e6 was played, d4, d5, knight c3, bishop b4, e5, okay, then c5, a3, bishop captures on c3, b attacks c3, and then knight c6, queen g4. Well, this is a very interesting opening choice, because now the g7 pawn is being attacked. You can defend that pawn with king f8 or g6. He opted for g6 move here in this position. Queen went back. Well, queen a5 attacking the pawn on c3 over here. Okay, he defends the pawn with bishop d2. Now queen a4. This is a very standard idea to play queen a5, queen a4, because by playing like this, it might seem that what is the queen doing there, but all the pawns on the queen side are now stuck, and the weakness of a3, c2 will be critical at some point in the game. So rook b1, now c4, blocking everything in this position. Now opponent starts playing on the king side, which is the right thing to do, because if the queen side is blocked, king side should be opened up. So here he plays h6. This is also a very typical idea in this kind of positions, guys. Whenever h4 is played, black players play h6, and if h5 is played, white players play h3, because when g6 or g3 pawn is there, if h5 is played at any point, then the g5 is a possibility, which actually happened in the game also. After some time, queen c1 was played. He plays b6, because we need to do something about our bishop on c8. Okay, now bishop e2, bishop d7. Now he plays h5, g5 was played in the game. That's what I was talking about. f4, white is trying to get something in the position. E captures, g captures f4, and knight h3. Well, white is getting lots of pieces in the game. Like here, Nihal is yet to complete his development. That's why I said he was a little bit not in great position in the starting phase of the game, but after some time he just managed to neutralize the position. Now he takes his king to the away from the main action, you can say, because everything was happening on the king side. Now the king goes to the queen side. He plays king to f2, knight g7, then he plays bishop f3, rook h7. Well, he is preparing for, you can say, rook d h8 to support the pawn on h6, and maybe if it's possible, he can put 2 rooks on the g file also. You never know. Okay, now knight e2 goes. He needs to support the pawn on h6, which was being attacked by 2 pieces, as I already mentioned about this thing. He supports the pawn. He is not allowing anything to his opponent. Opponent played rook h3. He is trying to get the rook to g3 square maybe, and he will try to come here somewhere. So here Nihal Sarin was very quick. He plays bishop e8, controlling the g8 square, and also attacking the pawn on h5. This is how he controlled the g8 square, guys, which I was talking about. Queen b2. Well, now he plays king d7. Now rook h1 is played, and now queen e6, because queen's job on the king side is done. Now the queen needs to be transferred to the king side, because there it is more needed. So he plays that move, knight to f4, the queen c8. Basically, I just want to tell you one thing, that this position is not at all bad for black. He's okay, but white is the one who is having more possibilities in the position, more activity in the position. So if you ask me which position will you prefer to play, I will say that white's position I will prefer. But okay, Nihal is getting his pieces back in the game here, guys. He plays a4. Now rook g8. He exchanges one pair of rook, which is very important. Now rook h3. Again the rook is trying to get the control of the g file, but that's okay. Knight c8, controlling everything. Now queen b5, he plays king c7. It went back. Then now queen to e8, again attacking on h5 and also keeping one's eye on the a4 pawn also. Means this queen is doing two jobs at the same time, guys. Now rook g3 was played. Now a5, just blocking everything on this side of the board. And now the fun begins, like queen c1, knight g7. Now the maneuvering starts. Queen a3, king to b7. The king is going for this hiding place, that is on a6. He goes there. Knight e2, queen d7. They played for some time and the pawn on a4 was being attacked. His opponent defended the pawn. And now rook to h8, bishop f4, knight c6. Well, what's really going to happen? He defends the pawn on h6 with queen g7, queen e d2, knight d8, and queen h7. Maneuvering just keeps on. And after this thing, like when the knight arrives on the f7 square, like you can already see that knight is preparing to jump on the g5 square, plus the pawn on h6 is now very nicely protected, and black is kind of relieved from the tension. He plays bishop to e2. Now rook g8, time to attack the g file. He plays queen d8. Okay, knight g5. As I already mentioned about this thing, the knight arrives on g5 square. At any point, if white captures the knight on g5, then this structure will be very good for black, and I will say that black will be better. Now he plays queen to a2. Now queen g7, putting some pressure. Knight e4 is one of the ideas in this position. He goes back, and now king goes back here, because there was some certain threats of bishop into c4 and trying to open up the position. But now after king a7, nothing is going to happen like that. King d2 was played and queen e7. Indirectly, whenever the knight moves, Nihal is planning for queen to h4, so that rook will also attack here, queen will also attack here, and well, the knight on g5 needs to be moved. That's what he goes for. He plays knight to f7 in this position. Now king e3, and now queen to h4. Okay, now after queen h4, king f3 was played, and now finally the rook arrives on g4 square. The irony of this thing is that white cannot really do anything about this thing. The bishop cannot move because rook into g3 is being played, and the bishop cannot be protected by any of the pieces from the white side. So in this very bad situation, his opponent just resigned. Well, you can say like it was a mixture of everything game. It's a little bit shaky position for Nihal, but finally he managed to win the game with some nice ideas. That idea of playing knight g5, queen e7 followed by queen to h4 was really clever, and his opponent fall for that thing because the weaknesses on the both sides were there, and he won the game very nicely in the end, I'll say. So I hope that you like this video. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, and if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon, because I'm going to analyze more and more games of this World Cup. So stay tuned with me. I'll be live streaming also at night, guys, so we will be meeting very soon. Thanks for watching this video. Take care. Goodbye.